to our first of the 4 Pulse of America series for this week. And I also hope you will all join us following today's session up in the Spielberg Gallery upstairs for a reception with our panelists and the very wonderful Laura Petrecca. Now, I don't have to tell you that the Cannes Lions International Advertising Festival lives up to its reputation as the world's most prestigious and only truly global celebration of advertising and communications. And we at USA Today are very proud that we are the exclusive USA representative to the International Advertising Festival. And that's a distinction that we share with 76 other global media companies representing their particular nations. This year, the 56th annual Cannes Lions had more than 22,000 entries submitted from 88 countries. And I'm proud to say that the United States brought home an impressive 93 trophies. So we're going to get a preview of some of those winners today, both from the US and from throughout the world, who captured a 2009 Cannes Lion Award. Now, here to moderate our Pulse of America session is Laura Petrecca, and I know many of you know her. She's wonderfully popular. I saw her fan club out in the lobby. One of our USA Today Money section reporters, and she covers small business, the job market, and personal finance. Laura's a former Advertising Age senior editor and Sunday business editor of the New York Post, and she has covered both the business as well as the competitions of the annual Cannes Lions. So please welcome Laura Petrecca.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks to all of you guys for showing up here this afternoon. And thank you to our panelists. I'm going to introduce our 2 panelists right now. We have Ted Royer over here. Ted is an executive creative director at Droga. He served on the film jury in Cannes. Here we have Steve Nesle. Steve's an executive creative director at Tribal DDB, and he served on the cyber jury. Just a few housekeeping things before we start. For those of you who are interested in the award-winning print, outdoor, and design work, we have it right outside this room if you want to take a look at that. Also, during this tough economic time, I want to encourage everyone to go to the reception and partake in the free beer and wine. It'll be very fun. So just by a raise of hands, I'm wondering how many of you actually went to the Cannes Festival in June of this year? All right, so we've got about 5 people in the room, which actually isn't that unusual given the fact that it's very expensive, and also during this economic climate, a lot of companies are cutting back on the number of delegates they send. This year, for instance, across the board, there was about 7,500 delegates, and in years past, there was about 9,500 delegates. Also, on the award entry front, there's been a cutback as well. There was about a 20% drop in the number of entries. So this year, there was a little bit less entries, and they're pretty expensive to send in, actually. Entries can range from about like $365 to $1,550 per entry. But that's not to say ad agencies don't invest in good work, especially when it's really an important subject matter or an important ad competition like this one. This year, there were about more than 22,000 entries in the festival. On the film front alone, there was more than 3,400 entries, but only about 88 lions given out. So it's such an incredibly selective group. So one of the things that we're going to start off the panel with is just showing some of the gold lion winners so you guys can take a look at them and see who made the cut. And then we're going to talk to Ted a little bit about what made those ads stand out. So if you guys could roll the clip, that would be great.
Those pure waters are special. Something goes in there, comes out different. But in a good way. Don't know why. Suppose it's always been that way. My old man never wore the same pair of shoes twice. Oh, sure, things don't always turn out the way you expect. But nobody's complaining. Because this water just makes things better.
Antiquing took over our lives. So I tried Viagra, and now my antiquing is pretty much gone.
I got hooked on strolling. We'd stroll anywhere. Our little strolls were turning into full outings. So I tried Viagra, and my strolling sort of stopped.
All right, Ted, let's start by talking about sex a little bit. Condoms.
Oh, yeah. If you've noticed, it's like cell phones, beer, Viagra, condoms.
Yeah.
In order, it's like, that's a good Friday night.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so dirty, aren't we? It's like, but no, they all seem to just be, I don't know, really, really great spots. I really liked all of them. All of them made me jealous, which I think is like the nicest barometer you have for work. If the first time you look at it, you go, oh, I wish I'd done that.
And what was the message in the T-Mobile ad? Were they trying to
The
talk
T-Mobile ad was one of those pieces that had, it's the type of piece we talked about a lot this year because it had a lot of layers. I think they had a website up that had films that people had taken with their phones during the event. So you not only saw the film of the event, you saw what people had been sharing during the event as well. And so there's this really nice technological layer which seemed to elevate an already beautiful film and a really nice idea up into something that was, truly inventive and truly about how people are using their phones now. I mean, everyone sends photographs and films and text messages and calls people when something's happening. There's an immediacy now to phones, which that really celebrates.
Do you think the surprise ending of certain ones, like the condom ad, that thing that makes you laugh out loud, helps as well?
Yeah, I mean, humor always kills a can. If you have something that gets a laugh, you're gonna. I mean, look at the Viagra stuff. That was a giant crowd favorite. But the condom thing, again, that was another thing that had layers. Apparently, and I hadn't seen any of this, there was a whole online soap opera about these two people who were sort of blogging about being apart from each other. They were sort of at either ends of Japan or something like that. And there was this great online, beautiful romantic story about how they were apart, and no one knew it was for condoms. And that was the big reveal film at the end of this journey, which I think is, I think that's it. It's been a while since I heard the whole story, but I think that's really lovely. And no one knew it was for condoms until the very, very end. And, a lot of people say doing condom ads are really easy, and you should never do a condom ad unless you're going to do like the best condom ad in the world. I think that might be the best condom ad in the world. So kudos to them.
On the subject of layers, we're going to next watch the Grand Prix winner in film, and I think it's like a little bit of a complicated ad, and I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about the carousel ad that we're going to show, and then we're going to ask Steve to talk a little bit as well after we show the clip, but just if you could set it up for us a little bit.
Yeah, thankfully Steve is here to go through some of the technical stuff because I'm not into that. I'm not smart enough to understand it all. But what it is, as far as I do understand, it's a product demonstration for the TV. And it's just great because, first of all, it's a great film. I think it's like a better heist movie than most heist movies. It's really, really cool. Then it's a great product demonstration about the features of this TV and how it really, when you watch films on this TV, it really brings film to life in a great way. And then it had interactive pieces. You could dive in and see how things were done and talk about the craft of filmmaking. So again, it's a product demonstration. It's a viral piece. It's really, really lovely and had a lot of layers. But first and foremost, which we debated a lot, it's just a cool film. I just think it's a really cool, scary, interesting film with a really great story that does really bring to life this product.
All right, let's roll it, and then we'll take it from there.
Remember, great cinema is all about great light.
Steve, fill us in.
Well, I mean, you know, just coming from a digital perspective, what strikes me as really interesting is that my colleagues in Amsterdam, at Tribal Amsterdam, never, when they conceived of this piece of work, they never thought of the film outside of the context of the wrapper, the interface that you saw up there. So it's an interesting thing to think about. Whereas the film jury looked at the piece of film, and the digital jury sort of looked at the whole holistic experience. Because the original intent of the work was to put the television, which is the film lover's television, on display by creating a piece of work, a film lover's film, essentially. Technically, I think it's people like the film jury and whatnot. They're the ones that most appreciate this piece of work because they can see, it looks like, if you look at it, the casual observer, you look at it and you just say, that's all CG, you know, that's easy. But it's one continuous tracking shot. So just imagine the dolly and the camera and all of those actors, you know, fixed in positions and being held up by wires, and the money, literally the money that's flying up in the air is in some instances you can almost make out that's all suspended in air through fishing line and stuff like that. So it's just a wonderful nod to the craft, to the old craft of filmmaking, where you get a bunch of wonderfully talented people together, and you know, how are they going to make something that makes everyone go ooh, but also makes the industry go ah. So anyway, it's a wonderful piece of work. We're very proud of it.
Was there a lot of people going online to learn more about the spot?
Well, the purpose of it was to get people buzzing and talking about this wonderful piece of work, which then spilled over to the talk about this television. And there was a direct correlation between the amount of people talking about the work and this really cool television, which unfortunately is not available in this country. And even more unfortunately, it's extremely expensive.
Just given the fact that consumers have so much control now of the media that they're watching and what they're doing, I'm wondering, being on the cyber jury, was there any broad definition that you were looking for, just to give out a gold? What were you thinking, okay, you know what, we have all these entries, thousands and thousands to look through.
Yeah.
What is gold worthy?
Well, I mean, that's a deceptively hard question to answer, because if you think about digital, there's really no one way to look at digital right now. So all the members of the jury, I mean, you've got, I come from more of an advertising background, but other members of the jury come from game development and software development and product design and whatnot. So everyone looks at the product a little bit differently with their own sense of what's more important, craft or idea over craft, and so there was a lot of that debate, strategy over execution. So a whole lot of time was just worked out in the very beginning between drinking and studying, figuring out what is gold, what's our shared view of good, and really we came down to just the work that just makes you sick in the stomach with jealousy. You just hate the people that made it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what bonded us.
Let's look at some of those. If everyone out there gets sick, just hold it in. We're going to
Yeah.
see some of the gold winners in cyber right now.
This is a fantastic use of digital for a product demonstration, and it uses one of the nicest insights about the internet and its practicalities and connections with the real world. He decided to swap his entire life on the internet thanks to all the different social media platforms. So it is an integrated campaign, but in the most appropriate way. And it also has the best music of all the presentation videos. From France, you have to say that.
What really excited us about the banner concerts was that they reimagined a format that many people said was dead. Standard IAB formats were given over to young people so that they could host concerts inside the banner spaces bought by the bank, a real first.
When Doritos brought back 2 flavors from the dead, something dark came back with them. Everything's scarier at night. That's why Hotel 626 is only open from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. You're living a nightmare in a 3D world never before seen in a website. And you have to do whatever it takes to get out. Like taking a picture of a psychopathic need, singing a demon baby to sleep, and making it out of a madman's cell. This nightmare is personal. Hotel 626 uses your webcam to sneak a picture of you and shows it to you later in a serial killer's lair. Your one salvation is a phone call on your actual cell phone that helps you out of your nightmare.
Quick, head down the hallway. Turn right.
Only by facing your darkest fears can you make it out alive. Over 3 million people in 188 countries have experienced Hotel 626. Over 2 million bags of the resurrected flavors were sold during the promotion, selling out in just 3 weeks, all without the appearance of a single correction.
You made it out. But we'll see you again in the darkness.
Raise your hand if a website's ever made you piss your pants. I mean, that's what really stood out for the jury here. Yeah. Well, there's 2 things. One is thanks to Goodby and to Be Real, the microsite is not dead yet, also, as somebody who's been in digital for 10 plus years, it's wonderful to see our discipline being able to elicit strong emotional reactions using interactive techniques and not just film, online. So this is a wonderful piece of work. If you haven't experienced it, I encourage you to do so.
I wanted to talk a little bit about what we did discuss before the film in terms of the fact there's so many digital elements out there. There's so much you can do with this medium. And with the Grand Prix winners, you divided into 3 categories.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Maybe you can just talk us through a little bit about how you ended up doing that and what you were looking for in those categories for the Grand Prix.
Well, there are 3 categories for the Grand Prix, and I believe that's the most categories any lion has. There's viral, which is a bit of a misnomer. That just means not spending any money on media. There's interactive campaign, and then there's integrated campaign. And my money is on those categories not being around next year or the year after. I think, and we talked about this earlier. I think it's mostly a reflection of the industry as a whole trying to get its head around what are the disciplines and the forms of content that make up digital, and it's just if we just brainstormed now, we could probably come up with 6, or we could narrow it down to 2. So what you're seeing with 3 Grand Prix right now is in digital or cyber is just the industry trying to figure itself out in real time.
You know what? We'll watch that clip in a second, but outside, before coming in here, we were discussing how going forward at the festival, a lot of the categories are probably going to change.
Yeah, we had that weird debate too, because we had, I think internet film was one of our categories.
Yeah.
And we could not figure out the difference between viral film and internet film. And a lot of debate went on about what is what and what's the context you're supposed to be watching it in. And it does make for some weird viewing on the nights, the award show nights, because half the audience is going, what is this?
Yeah.
But it's really, really exciting. I think I completely agree with Steve. All these categories are way up in the air. They're going to change, and the industry itself is trying to figure out what's going on, it makes things really exciting, but also a bit unpredictable.
As a judge, it probably takes much longer to go through everything. I would think back in the day when film meant theater ads or TV ads, but now you've got these long form films.
Right. We had this weird thing for a hotel. It was for the closed circuit TV inside the hotel. If you're sitting at the hotel bar, you're watching the TV, and it looks like you're watching closed circuit cameras around the hotel itself. So you're weirdly sort of watching what's going on in the hotel, and then all this strange stuff starts to happen, like clowns walk by and people are having sex. But no one knew what the hell it was when we first saw it. We're like, what is this? This is really weird. And this weird, uninformed debate started about, is this a viral film? What was it? Because the judges themselves, the categories are so up in the air. Finally someone explained it to us, and we were like, okay, great. But it just showed that anything is possible right now, which is great.
So let's take a look at some of the Grand Prix winners in the cyber category.
At Fiat, we've always made compact, practical and economical cars. Today, as we all start to think more carefully about our impacts on the environment, this philosophy is more relevant than ever. We are proud to have the lowest average CO2 emissions of any car manufacturer in Europe, and now we want to help improve your fuel efficiency even further with an innovation we've called EcoDrive. EcoDrive is an easy-to-use computer application that will help you improve how efficiently you drive. It analyses your driving style and helps you to use less fuel, reducing your CO2 emissions and saving you money, up to 15% if used effectively. How does it work? Easy. You just download the application from the Fiat website onto your computer. You then plug any USB stick into the Blue and Me port of your Fiat, and information on the way you drive will be saved to it automatically. You then plug the stick back into your computer and the information uploads into the EcoDrive application. Our technology then gets to work, converting your data into useful facts and figures. It's completely anonymous, so no one else sees your details. EcoDrive analyses your driving technique and marks it out of 100, giving you a score called your Eco Index. It shows how efficiently you've driven based on your acceleration, deceleration, gear changes and speed. EcoDrive is free and ready to download now. See you in Ecoville.
In the months leading up to the release of The Dark Knight, more than 10 million people were immersed in a real-world Gotham City. Dozens of websites were found that built a living, breathing city. Players played integrated casual games to unlock pieces of the story. Physical newspapers and special collectibles were distributed. Text messages, voice calls, and puzzles went out to mobile phones, connecting players to the major characters. Users from all over the world traded and submitted videos and pictures. Real-world puzzles sent players around the globe. Live events gathered players together, unleashing Gotham City onto real city streets. Video and audio elements introduced players to the fast-paced emotional aspects of the film. A 360-degree, fully formed immersive reality. An integrated campaign where every element worked together to create a seamless experience. The world of Gotham City was big, rich, multi-layered, and continuous. It was an experience that created a community, and a community that created an experience. A campaign that generated millions of press hits. An entire world to live in. Gotham City. For real.
Well, you may want to consider moving to Australia.
Australia's Tourism Bureau looking to fill what it is calling the best job in the world.
澳洲呢份工究竟有幾好呢？
Could this be your new office? Hamilton Island, off the coast of Queensland, needs a caretaker.
Duties include feeding ocean fish, cleaning a pool, and collecting deliveries of mail.
It comes with a rent-free 3-bedroom villa with plunge pool.
All this and a salary of about $8,800 a month. As you might imagine, the regional director says response to the ad has been overwhelming.
They said it was too late to apply. All of those videos have got onto YouTube, so every single one. Yeah.
Where do you sign up for that one?
It sounds like tough work there.
Watch the whales.
So if you're not here tomorrow.
They accepted me.
I want to go there.
Well, sure, nice work if you can get it.
Doesn't come with the boat, I'm told.
It's interesting to note that the best job in the world, that Grand Prix won Grand Prix for media and for PR as well. You know, obviously digital was a major component to activating. I think that's the marketing term, activating the idea. But from a digital perspective, I think what stood out for the judges was that this signals, or it's a great example of what happens when digital isn't something in isolation, and that when you've got multiple channels and multiple disciplines firing all together around a simple and powerful idea that's based on a true human insight, that's when the magic happens, and that's when we can do the type of work to keep our business relevant. The other Grand Prix was EcoDrive, and especially in the digital arena, there's a lot of talk about how digital agencies or digitally minded agencies can continue to stay relevant and to continue to impact our clients' businesses in deeper and more meaningful ways than just advertising. And I think EcoDrive is a great example of how where while a ad agency, digital agency, AKQA, did the work, no one would in this room would call EcoDrive an ad or anything close to an ad. It's an extension of Fiat's brand service proposition. And then the last was my personal favorite as a Batman fanboy, the Why So Serious campaign. What really is interesting about this one is that it took a long time for the jurists to understand it, because there were so many pieces of this puzzle, that this narrative that took place over like a 9-month period. And that, just put your creative director hat on. Now, these are people that are used to seeing something in 30 seconds, and if it goes beyond that, they're bored. And now imagine trying to articulate and pull that huge idea with all those tentacles into something cohesive so that they'd even sit through the video. So there was a lot of debate and a lot of discussion. What is it? What are we looking at? Is this advertising? Is it content? Is it what? And it's all of those things. And it was a wonderful example of how marketing content added to the mythos of Batman. It wasn't the studio gave the 42 Entertainment the assets and make something. No, they created a whole new narrative that took place over the course of 8 months before the release of the movie. And 10 million people involved in your marketing message or this message for 8 months. I mean, that should get even more than a Grand Prix. That should get the grander Prix. I'm a creative director. Isn't that awesome? So those, yeah.
It's interesting to me that Scary plays so well on the internet, because you have to suspend reality for the Doritos spot and for the Dark Knight. What's going on that people can they actually get into that world and
to suspend disbelief?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're in that world where you're Dark Knight. It's creepy. It's scary. That you can actually get sucked in enough.
Well, I mean, I think I think that's. When the way people engage their computer or their screens is no different now, or their expectation of a visceral entertainment is no different now on the computer than it is on television.
I thought most people now were like on the computer and the TV is becoming background noise. I mean, that's the way I am almost every night, like messing around and, oh, I like that show, but I'm not really paying attention.
That goes with what you guys were saying earlier about the categories changing down the line. We'll see what happens the next couple of years.
Can I go back really quick to what Steve was saying about the Fiat thing, which I just think is one of the best points, is that's where an agency, because we're just a bunch of people sitting around all day trying to solve problems, and instead of being reactive or presenting the problem, which I think still a lot of agencies think like, let's just present the problem in the best way and expect people to do it. I love that piece of work because it is helping to solve the problem. And I love that our minds now, I think everyone's jumping on the opportunity to actually help solve the problem rather than just announce it, which is the way most of our efforts used to be. And that's by far the most exciting thing in the business now. CEOs and business managers are opening up to our ideas coming in to change their business, to solve their business, to be really proactive and actually make a real difference instead of just announcing it.
Agreed.
I just got the signal that we've got about 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Young Lions Award. Is anyone out there in the audience 28 years old or younger? I'm just curious if you can raise your hand. This is such a great opportunity for you to go to Cannes and have someone else pay for it if you're lucky. But the Young Lions competition is a competition in which international teams compete against each other in Cannes in categories such as media and print and cyber. They go to Cannes, hopefully sponsored by someone, and compete against each other after being given an ad brief, and then they follow up on any assignment. So we're going to look at one of the winning campaigns right now for cyber, just to give you guys a little taste of it. Here we go. It's just a great opportunity if you're in that age group. have time for Q&A? No. All right, everyone go to the reception afterwards and have some drinks and chat with the panelists. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.